Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking about you and your business. Glad to have David Heinemeier Hansson with me. I've been excited about getting him on the program. He's the co-author of a book called Remote Office Not Required. I think this is an incredible phenomenon going on in business that, frankly, we hear the stories of Yahoo changing his mind about letting their employees work remote, but really that seems to be an anomaly rather than the norm. The norm is businesses moving more and more off-site, and it's kind of a revolution, and I'm glad someone's documenting it. David, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. Real quickly, kind of tell us a little bit about your background and what motivated you to write this book.
Sure. I've been living the remote work lifestyle for the past decade. I started working out of Copenhagen, Denmark, with Jason Fried, my co-partner at the business and co-author of this book, and he was in Chicago, Illinois. We were working together for a couple of years, 7 time zones apart, before I uprooted and moved to the U.S. And since then, we've been working remotely. We've been hiring people remotely. We have about 40 people in our software company, and 70% of those people are not in Chicago, spread out all over the place, all over the U.S., a few in Canada, a few in the U.K., and a few in Europe, and even one guy in Russia.
Wow. And you've been doing this for how long? How long have you been remote?
About a decade, 10 years.
About a decade. So you were doing it way before it was cool.
We started really early. Yes, we did. And it's just been fascinating to see the growth of this. Over the past 10 years, the number of remote workers in the U.S. alone has shot up about 70%. There's about 3 million people working remotely now in the U.S., and I think as this spreads, and hopefully we can help it come along, many more people are going to join in.
Yeah, and so you're just basically writing this book to say, hey, the water's great, jump in, right?
Exactly. I mean, we've gotten so much out of remote work, both in terms of finding excellent, talented people in all sorts of unlikely places. Usually when people look for, say, programmers, they go to San Francisco. Well, the first programmer we hired at 37 Signals, he worked out of Idaho. And that was great for us. We got a fantastic programmer in an unlikely place. He's still with the company 8 years later. It's been a wonderful way for us to attract top talent and make sure that top talent is incredibly happy with where they live and how they work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it allows you to have, an extended long-term relationship if it works, but it doesn't work. You sure don't have all the awkwardness and disjointedness and really trauma to people that have moved from other parts of the world or country to come do business. And then you talk about, we say we're interested in a green approach to business. It's not much greener than never getting in your car.
Absolutely. There are so many people who waste so much of their time commuting every day, and it's soul crushing. If you have just an hour each way, you're driving an SUV, and you have, I think it's 30 miles to the office, it all adds up to about $10,000 a year you're wasting in gas and maintenance on the car and so on and so forth. It's a waste of money, it's a waste of the environment, and it's a waste of people's life and time. So if you can sort of get out of that, my commute is about 10 steps down to a bedroom I have downstairs, and the same is true for most of our employees. It's just a great way of getting so much of your life back.
Yeah, by the way, you can learn more about David's book at 37signals.com, and then I imagine you've got remote on the front page there.
Yeah, absolutely. We link to the book. We link to all the products that we have that all help make it easier to transfer to a remote working style as well.
So is that what you do? Is for vocation, is that you consult companies on how to go remote?
We actually offer software products that allow people to do remote work. We offer something called Basecamp, which is a project management tool that you all can use online. People sign up kind of like your webmail. Anybody just signs into the same account. They can share their to-do list. They can share files about the project, and everybody can help collaborate around getting stuff done. So we sell software products on a monthly payment basis.
Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. Enjoying my conversation, David. So what takeaway? Because, a lot of people are familiar with this telecommuting and that type of thing. It's not as new as it was, just a few years ago. So what's the practical takeaways that people are going to get by reading your book? And that's going to have to be our last question to wrap it up.
Sure. Well, they're going to get two things. First, they're going to get an inventory of all the arguments for why you should do remote work. We found that talking to companies, a lot of people have a very shallow understanding what remote work actually entails. And they're not doing it because of all these myths and misunderstandings that they're holding in their head. We try to shoot all those down. Then once we've ready to land for the invasion, you give people just a bunch of tools and tricks to get the best of it. When you jump into remote work, there are some pitfalls you should be aware of. There are some tricks that can make it a lot easier, and there are just some techniques for employees to make it easier to make that transition. And we spell it all out from our 10 years of experience running a remote company and talking to lots and lots of other remote companies and what they've learned, and it's all there in the book.
Yeah, David, thanks for being with us. David Heinemeier Hansson, he's the co-author of the book, Remote, Office Not Required. And you can learn more about it at 37signals.com. I'm a big advocate of telecommuting. It makes so much sense. And there's so many ways to quantify your employees' performance, which is one of the main reasons why people don't do it. And I'm sure a lot of those are over at 37signals.com. David, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usanews.com. While there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter. Stay tuned for more right after this on The Price of Business.